We're back with Capital Dateline. I'm your host, Brad Swanson, president of the Florida Cable Telecommunications Association, coming to you from our studios located just a few blocks from Florida's capital. We represent over 100,000 men and women who work around the clock to provide the best television and high-speed internet service to over 6 million Floridians. Capital Dateline traveled to the most recent meeting of Enterprise Florida, Florida's business marketing, recruitment, and global trade agency. As 2017 approaches, we caught up with Governor Scott, Agriculture Commissioner Adam Putnam, Enterprise Florida's new CEO Chris Hart, and other leaders to hear about what to look for in Florida's economy. After a recent new jobs announcement, I asked Governor Scott about what is going on in job creation in Florida.
It's exciting what's going on. We are now up to 1,232,000 jobs in 5 years and 10 months. Month after month, we're seeing more people move here. We're seeing more jobs being created here. We've got to continue to work hard. We've got to continue to make sure we are the best state for jobs. We've got to keep reducing taxes, regulation, continue to improve our education system, and keep everybody safe.
I caught up with Agriculture Commissioner Adam Putnam and asked him about how agriculture's role impacts Florida's economy and how it is looking more like an advanced manufacturing organization and what is happening on the horizon.
Well, you really opened up your question well, which is that agriculture is a huge part of Florida's economy. It's not the most glamorous, it's not the most visible, but it's a $100 billion economic driver for our state, so it's an important part of our past and our future. It is high tech, it's not old McDonald's farm. We're seeing continued investment in Florida from California companies who are looking for an eastern seaboard presence. They're also fleeing the drought in California, so you're seeing significant investments by California players in our state, which includes some higher value processing. So, carrot processing and other vegetables, the processed vegetables where people have an expectation that there's less work to be done when they purchase that product, and we can keep that advanced manufacturing here in Florida. We're seeing a lot of growth in the ports with the movement of produce for export and to some degree for import. So all over the place there's some interesting opportunities for growth and development in produce and throughout agriculture. Our challenges still remain pest and disease.
From Commissioner Adam Putnam, I then had a chance to speak with Stan Connolly, President and CEO of Gulf Power, who led the search for Enterprise Florida's next CEO. I asked him why Chris Hart, and what does this election mean for Enterprise Florida. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I think it's a great day for Enterprise Florida. Chris has tremendous experience leading an organization very similar to Enterprise Florida in that he ran CareerSource Florida. Prior to that, he was a member of the Enterprise Florida team. Prior to that, he was a business owner and he served in our state legislature. So all that collective skill and experience he's amassed over those years, I think put him in a perfect place to help lead this organization. He's been a partner here. He knows how we function. He knows our mission, and that's to help grow jobs, and I think he'll do really well.
After the EFI Board of Directors voted to approve his selection, Capital Dateline heard from EFI's new CEO, Chris Hart, about the direction of EFI's board and what his first task will be as he takes the helm of Florida's business marketing, recruitment, and global trade agency.
Very excited to now be the new president and CEO of Enterprise Florida. The board is so clear in terms of who their customer is. They know that business is their customer, existing, evolving, emerging, new to Florida businesses. But what's also really exciting is they're talking a lot about our product. And our product, if you kind of define it broadly, is a business climate. So they're talking about right skills, right time. They're talking about permitting and regulatory environment and tax environment. And they do understand, because we have the public trust with public tax dollars, that the shareholder is the taxpayer. And so in essence, what they're looking to do, and the reason that they serve on the board, is that they're looking to ensure that Florida is the leading economy for increasingly better opportunities for prosperity for every Florida community and all Floridians.
So what's your first task that you see before you as you take the helm?
I think a first task is going to be simply reestablishing trust. The team, great team at Enterprise Florida, love their character, love their competencies, and they need to trust me as their leader. And then we'll continue to build trust with the legislature, with our businesses throughout the state of Florida. And I think that by continuing to reestablish that kind of trust, it's going to make everything move a lot more smoothly.
Capital Dateline talked to the Florida Ports Council President and CEO Doug Wheeler about the value of ports to Florida's economy and about the partnership between his organization and what Enterprise Florida does for the port industry.
Florida's seaports and the activities at these ports provide a tremendous economic benefit to not only the local governments as well as the state. These activities are generating about $112 billion of economic value to the state. These activities support nearly 900,000 very good paying jobs for Floridians, and at the same time are providing more than $4 billion of tax revenue to state and local governments.
Safe to say Florida's economy would not be as strong without the trade or the Florida ports industry.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about Enterprise Florida. You're here as a stakeholder and a partner. Talk to us about why the Florida Ports Council invests its time to work with Enterprise Florida.
Well, we consider Enterprise Florida a tremendous partner when it comes to promoting the state, but in particular promoting our infrastructure assets, which include our seaports that are scattered around the state, and they remain a tremendous partner in helping us to make sure that we're developing those key relationships that will position Florida as a global leader in trade.
Now, are they doing this just domestically, or do they also take y'all internationally?
Oh, they're international. They have offices all over the world. We participate in most of their trade missions, which are fantastic opportunities for us to sort of market, if you will, the opportunities and services that our Florida seaports provide.
Our final conversation of the day was with Mark Wilson, President and CEO of the Florida Chamber of Commerce, which represents over 100,000 Florida businesses in the capital. I asked Mark about what Florida businesses should be looking out for in 2017.
It's a very exciting time to have a business in Florida, right? We continue to add 1 out of every 10 jobs in the United States. And so as we look to 2017, we're excited about Washington rolling back regulations and the opportunity that's going to create. But here in Florida, one of the things we're paying special attention to is our workers' comp rates. The trial lawyers in Florida pushed through some court cases that are going to raise workers' comp rates in Florida $1.5 billion. It means we're going to have the second highest workers' comp rates in the Southeast. So at the time we're creating all these private sector jobs, we're going to have our workers' comp rates increased. And so that's something that's a top priority of the Florida Chamber to fix in 2017.
And I asked Mark for his final thoughts on how Chris Hart's selection will be received by the business community and what they think about the job that Governor Scott is doing for Florida's economy.
What we look at in the business community is if you look out over the next 15 years, we need to add 2 million more jobs in Florida. And as I've said several times, talent or our workforce is more important than tax incentives when it comes to creating jobs. So with Chris Hart and his background in workforce development and his thorough understanding of talent and what it takes to create a talented workforce, I think it's a very exciting time because all of our research tells us that to create 2 million more jobs in Florida, businesses are going to need the right talent with the right skills, the right experience. So to have somebody with Chris Hart's background, where he knows so much about the match between talent and a job, I think is going to be like turbo behind what we've been working on in the 6 pillars. He's the perfect person at the perfect time.
So now we got to look at the governor. He's the chair of this board, Governor Scott.
That's right.
From the business community's perspective, how's Governor Scott doing?
Yeah, so Governor Scott is just doing an amazing job. And as I said at the Enterprise Florida board meeting this morning, I think it's because of culture, right? So when he was elected in 2010, he's been talking about every decision we're going to make, from rolling back regulations to reducing taxes to improving our education system in Florida. It's all about helping people find a good job. It's all about upward mobility. So it's about helping people, whether they're poor or whatever zip code they're from. It's about creating economic opportunity for everyone. And as long as we have a governor that focuses on that, like Rick Scott's been doing, Florida's going to continue to lead the nation in job growth.
All right, final question. Business owners are always facing regulations. What can they do to get involved, besides joining the Florida Chamber?
Sure, of course. Well, one reason businesses are joining the Florida Chamber these days is we've launched a 5-year, it's called a Regulatory Reform and Alignment Project. So we have 405 cities and 67 counties and 34 state agencies in Florida. So thousands and thousands of rules and regulations, from permitting to sign ordinances to paid sick leave mandates to a push for $15 an hour minimum wage in some cities. So what businesses can do is we can band together to make sure that the right policies happen and that we don't have unions and trial lawyers and other advocates making more regulation, more mandates, and more litigation. That's what we can do.